financially it doesn't really make much of a difference to you, or to them. Like maybe they get a $250 discount, but you're still maximizing how much money you're making because you're not taking out the retail value of that, right? And again, people want to feel like they're relating with you. People want to feel like you're participating in the conversation because you want their business. So you being a stock-up photographer, I don't give discounts, you're lying, or you don't know how to negotiate at all, you know? And trust me, from the bottom of my heart, I know a lot of the big photographers in the world. They all do the same thing, okay? Everyone does it. But you can strategically do it so you don't lose money. And you can bank on the emotional impact of your photographs if you take them that way to increase album sales after the wedding. Okay?
Sorry, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Same thing. If then you say, like, I'm going to take out the wholesale value? Because to me, like, if I was going to charge, say, I don't know, some crazy amount for an album, but then it only costs me, like, $500, do they, like, at all say, like, why are you charging me?
No, because the album is simply the place where you put your skill sets.
Okay.
Right? You're not valuing that the album is a great product, but you're selling your photography, right? You're giving the memories. So if they want to remove a product, you can take it out, but you're not going to take out what the retail value would have been, because that retail value added the photos that were in there. So yeah, last but not least, show excitement, ask questions about them. Okay, once you finish talking about the prices, Leon, once you are done with the negotiations, you can go ahead and ask fun questions. What are some of the typical questions photographers ask bride and grooms? OMG, how did you guys meet?
Yes.
Okay, and they want to grab something and just shoot themselves in the head if they hear that one more time, right? So come up with a better strategic question for them. You know, if you related with a helicopter, say, hey man, you should try one of the helicopters. I can give you a store, or what is something exciting that you're thinking about doing for the first dance? Are you gonna do a cool tango? Are you gonna just do it normal? Like what's something? Oh, we're doing like a cool piece. Oh, are you taking tango lessons? Oh, that's cool. Did you guys always have tango lessons? Did you guys meet already dancing, or did something? Oh no, we met like this and like that and like that. See what I mean? So you don't go up to them and be like, how did you guys meet? Oh my gosh, it's like so forced. It's like pulling teeth. I went as a client, I went to hire my wedding photographer, and every single wedding photographer told me, how did you guys meet? How did you guys meet? And I was like, why do you care? That's kind of my reaction, my honest reaction. It's like, who cares, man? Let's just get to it, you know? Because he's not doing anything for me, you know? So how did you guys meet? It's not a good question, but the answer is important. So get to the answer in a different way. You can ask about what's something special that they're going to do for their first dance, what are some of the cool gifts they're giving to their bridal party, and then you can ask and reroute the question that way. There's a game on Wikipedia, it's called WikiHunt. And WikiHunt, you put like George Washington, and then they give you all kinds of questions, all kinds of historical things, and using those historical things, you have to connect the dots from one to the other, to the other, to the other, until you get to George Washington. You play that game, and you'll get really good at dealing with clients, going like, let me get from this point to that point to that point. In order for you to get to the answer that you really want is, how did you guys meet each other? You know? But when you're watching online, I want you to remember this sentence. Please do not sound like any other photographer, because it's your work, the ability to show your talent, it's difficult for them to grasp it because it's art. So a great photo from a good photo to a client is the same thing. The only thing you have in your advantage is that you need to stand out. You need to pop out of the list. You start with a prop, you start with a hobby, you sandwich the prices, you negotiate with your clients in a strategic way, and then you finish the conversation with something off-topic and light. And that's what that is about. End in an off-topic, light conversation. Okay, do we have more time, or do I have to stop?
You do have to stop.
I do.
Is that okay with you?
No.
I know it's not.
I have more to say.
I know you do.
But I'll stop.
But we do need to take a 45-minute break, Roberto.
We do not. Let's keep going.
Is this a good stopping point for you? Or do you want to, I mean, is there...
Yeah.
Well, do you have just a few more minutes to close out this segment? Or what's going to work for you?
This is going to be an okay stopping point.
Okay, let's do that then.
Okay. Wow, you're hungry?
If that's okay with you.
Susan,
No, but you know, the internet's...
Are you getting hangry?
No, but the internets need a break. And
the internet's need a break,
yeah.
okay.
The internetos.
Right, the internetos.
Oh, now I get it. I was confused.
So everyone, we are going to take a 45-minute break, but don't go anywhere, Roberto, because we'd really like to hear what we're going to be doing when we come back. Mr. Roberto.
So, segment 3, I'm going to try to spend the first 10 minutes finishing what I was going to finish right now. But on segment 3, we're going to go over some pretty cool stuff. We're going to go over some basic and very effective flash setups. Okay, we're going to go about positioning flashes at receptions. We're going to go about basics of the flash so you can use them properly, like I used them yesterday. I didn't get a chance to explain too much about the strategy and the techniques behind my flash stick, what I was doing, because I was going to do that now. So when we come back on segment 3, stay tuned for some instruction on flash, single flash, multiple flash, basic flash functions, advanced flash functions, but everything will be taught in a very simple, easy to understand way. So we'll be back in 45 minutes.
Okay, Roberto, I just want to thank you for the first half of this day. It's been incredible. I have learned a lot. And everyone, if you'd like to thank Roberto, please go to the CreativeLive Facebook page. There is a post there where you can write your comments or let him know what you've learned from today or how you feel about it. And I want to read a couple comments to you, Roberto.
Okay.
Marion Bader says, this info is excellent. Once you get the level you want in terms of your skill, you realize your services don't get sold by themselves.
Beautiful.
This is where this kind of info comes in handy. As photographers, we don't have a lot of knowledge about business, so this is perfect.
That's nice.
And this comment is from WV Glitter, who is Leona from West Virginia. Leona says, thank you for introducing the left side of my brain to the right side. Now they can mate and make creatively smart babies.
We hope for that.
We
have
do.
Smart babies. That makes things easier.
I love your execution of the English language, and I have been learning how easy the technical side of photography can be. Now the creative part of that will finally come together nicely.
Oh, that's nice.
Very cool, yeah?
That is cool.
Very cool. Well, Roberto, you've been talking about providing proof to your clients that you can do what you say you're going to do.
Exactly.
And I've just been thinking about how what you've been showing us here over the past 2.5 days, with still half a day to go, is proof that we can solve the challenges that we have. You've been polling the CreativeLive community, that's you guys out there, for the past 2 months about what their challenges are, what your challenges are, and now you've answered them for us. So we've also been talking about pre-visualization. So I ask you guys out there to pre-visualize if you believe that the things that you have learned from Roberto, that when you practice them, if you believe that you can see that changing your photography. And it's okay if the answer is no, but better yet, if the answer is yes, I can pre-visualize that. If you have not already purchased this course, the deal is going away in less than 9 hours, about 8.5 hours. So consider purchasing it. There's a buy now button right beneath there. It'll be $99 right now versus the $149. And you can then take your pre-visualizations and make them real, just like we've seen Roberto, your images that you've shown us by demonstrating here, overcoming all of these shooting, lighting, and selling challenges are just stunning.
Stunning.
It's been fun. I gotta tell you, it's been fun. And a penny saved is a penny earned, right? So
that's right.
That 149 to the 99 is a good deal.
That's right.
It's been really fun to deal with the challenges that the CreativeLive community has posted. And it has been my desire and my wish that I have answered a lot of them. Obviously, it's impossible to do all of them. But we went way over the 101. That was just, so keep asking away. I'm here for you. And I hope this course really helps you guys out.
Fantastic.
So.
All right, everyone. We will see you back in 45 minutes. Thanks, Roberto. Welcome back from break, everyone. We are heading into the second half of today, the final day's workshop with Roberto Valenzuela here on CreativeLive, 101 Solutions to Common Photography Problems. Before we hand it back over to Roberto, we're going to give away another 2 prizes. What have we got?
Well, Kenna, we're giving away a Triple Scoop Music single song gift certificate and Roberto Valenzuela's Wedding Evolution. So that is a $209 value, and the winner is Christine Cavella. And Christine's quote is, "It is my job and desire to connect to you emotionally." Is that your job?
To connect with you emotionally. I
your
like
job,
that quote.
Roberto?
She deserves to win.
She did. She
does.
did.
That's
She did win.
good.
All right.
All right, congratulations. Do you want me to give away the next prize?
I was going to do it.
You do it.
I'll do it.
You do it.
Okay. So the next prize is the X-Rite Color Checker Passport,
Oh,
plus Roberto's Posing Evolution videos. And would you like to talk about those 2 things?
yep. The X-Rite Color Checker Passport is a must-have because it checks your color. No, because it gives you an 18% gray card, and it also gives you the color patches. And when you put them in Lightroom after you shoot, you basically shoot the 18% gray card, then you shoot the color patches or the target, and then when you go into Lightroom, you can actually just choose exactly how to warm up each one by an exact percentage, and so everyone looks quite good. And you do that every time you change locations, and it really minimizes your post-production. Posing Evolution is a product that's about 3 hours of pure, raw education on posing people. Not posing brides, posing people. So that's what that is, and congrats to the winner.
And that's a video that you can download from Picture Perfect Photo.
PicturePerfectPractice.com, and it's $99, and it's $99 till the end of this workshop. After that, it's going to be $149 as well.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, the lucky winner of those 2 prizes is Vic Chohan. And his quote is, "Choose images that have emotional impact and tell the story behind it."
Beautiful.
So that was a lot of what we were talking about with those pre-sales and booking your clients with those emotional images and how the brain works. I love that part. All right, so thank you again to X-Rite, to Triple Scoop, and to Roberto Valenzuela. We are giving away more prizes today, so go to the blog, creativelive.com/blog. See how you can enter and what those prizes are and discounts from some of those sponsors as well. Play to win.
Play to win, everyone.
Play to win.
How do you say play to win in Spanish?
Juega para ganar.
Whoa, slow that down.
It just has funny things. It sounds so much cooler in English. Juega para ganar.
Juega para ganar.
Oh, you're good, Kenna.
Or you can say, tienes que jugar para ganar.
Ah. Tienes que
That made more
jugar
sense to
para
you.
ganar.
You have to play to win.
Sí.
All right.
See.
Qué bien. Okay.
Okay, take it away, Roberto.
Back to me. Thank you, Susan. Otherwise, I would have no idea.
I know, seriously.
No, appreciate that.
Okay, anytime.
We gotta, yeah. All right, guys, welcome back. I would like to do today. This session is fun because when I was thinking about the timeline, a lot of the students that I asked, what would you like me to discuss at CreativeLive in terms of problems? A lot of their answers were, we would really like for you to discuss the way you use Flash and Flash techniques. And I know Flash is like this big monster thing, scary monster to a lot of people. So is it scary a little bit to you guys? Like a little bit intimidating? So yes. So I'm gonna not go into crazy, scary Flash, intimidating setups. What I wanna do is just straight up to show you what has been very effective for me. And let's just make it clear, because you can go crazy with the Flash and do all this stuff, but it's really not necessary. In fact, all of the photos in my website, all of the photos in my weddings, a lot of them use Flash, as you can see, but they use Flash in a way that you can barely see that it's there. It just gives you that extra pop of light. So one of the things I really enjoy about Flash in my type of work is being able to control the Flash output so it's seamless with the background and seamless with the environment. The second is control the light. The Flash is a small light source, so when I shoot a flash, I like to make it bigger to create like a softbox feel. Another thing is I do like a lot of off-camera flash, as you all can see, but I don't like to complicate my life when I don't have to. So I keep things very simple. You know, we'll talk about flash later in this segment, but I'm excited to just do a basics of effective flash use. That's going to gives you the most results. Before we do that though, we are going to, hello, sorry, just like you guys right there. You know. Before we do that, let me jump back into finishing up the timeline, because I think it's important to get that segment taken care of before I jump into how to use the flash. I also want to say that using the flash, using these little guys right here, has been an enormous tool for me to separate my work from other people and being able to give my clients a little something extra special without, I repeat, complicating my life so much. Like, I don't bust out 17 flash setups or any of that. That's just not practical for what I do. I'm a wedding photographer. You have 5 seconds to come up with a setup. So. Okay, I'm gonna go through this a little more speedy, okay? When I meet with clients, I give them a quick rundown of what the timeline is gonna look like for optimal results. For optimal results, I always meet the client 5 hours before their wedding. So if their wedding's at 5 p.m., I am there at 12 o'clock. And here's the rundown. From 12 to 1, I do groom portraits. And that means, right here, that means this. Groom getting ready, groom men portraits, groom with family, and groom alone portraits. So as soon as I show up to the groom, which is what I photograph first, the reason why I photograph the groom first is because the bride is more hard to read how long it's going to take you to photograph her. The makeup could be taken forever, and if the makeup and hair take a long time, you're basically wasting time with the bride. So I avoid issues like this, so I go to the groom first. Now they say to me on the internet, we had a problem. What happens if parents don't want to show up at the groom's room getting ready 5 hours prior to the ceremony? And the answer to that problem is you show them photos of why it would be to their benefit to be there. I always tell people that when I show up at the groom getting ready, the groom's parents or the groom's men should all be ready, all dressed, ready to go. The reason is, when you show up, you want everyone to look their best. The groom can be wearing his pants and his undershirt, and all I photograph is him putting on his shirt, his cufflinks, his tie, his bow tie, or whatever accessories he may have, and his jacket at the end. So to make things quick, we have lots of portraits to take. I have to photograph the groom getting ready, putting on the jacket. I have to take a clean lit shot of him where he looks nice and clean with the light even. I have to take a cool James Bond style look where there's more contrasting light. Then you have to take photos with him and his groomsmen, and they're pretty rowdy and they're talking, so you have to kind of reel them in. And if they're not even ready, it's just gonna really take your time away. So you ask the brides at the initial meeting that groomsmen should be totally ready, parents should be ready. When parents object to the idea, you simply tell them, these are the photos that will come out if you do show up during that time. After that, we move over to elements to look out for during the groom getting ready. So this is what I do. All grooms should be completely ready. This is what I tell the brides. Grooms to put on jacket, cufflinks, and shoes. This is what I'm going to photograph. Father and mother of the groom to be present so I can take emotional pictures for them, which, by the way, parents' photos are always great because they're never going to say, I don't want my mom in the album, or I don't want my dad in the album. So it can really increase your album upgrade sales later. Also, this is a weird request, and I ask it every single time. Can you please get a hotel room that the window, during the time that you're getting married, the sun is hitting the window? And you can ask the hotel that question. Like, can I get a room that if at 12 o'clock or at 2 or 3 o'clock or whatever you're getting ready, can the sun be pointing towards the window? That's one request that I make. The more light you have, the more you can shape it, bend it, manipulate it, play with it, use it, okay? So another thing I tell brides is, although they have a lot to worry about and they have a lot of stuff and they have nachos and champagne and this and that, I try to tell them to choose an area to put all the clutter, and that area has to be as far away from the window as possible. If you don't do this, you're going to spend 10 minutes cleaning out nachos and who knows what else. You're going to be spending 10 minutes doing that. So it's best to just tell the bride that, before her wedding, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before, you can say, by the way, if you're going to come in and you're going to drop off your stuff, drop all of your stuff as far away from the window as possible, like near the bathroom. It's a good place for you to put all your stuff. So here's a couple of examples of why the father should be there. So you have the father getting ready. He doesn't want to show up, but who wouldn't want a nice photo like this? It's a nice, beautiful picture. So here's an example of that. Here's an example of the father getting involved with his son, putting on the jacket. So you involve the parents. Don't just involve the groomsman or the best man. Involve the father, involve the best man. That's 3 photos more. The more you involve people, the more space you're going to need for their album. Okay? Here's some groomsmen. You see how they're all doing? This is very much in my style. They're all doing a different thing. You see how there's no pattern? You can't find a pattern in there. And look at this guy over here. You can't even see his face, but that's totally okay because the groom is the brightest. Okay? Here you have another portrait of the groomsmen. This is where I used the first photo. I used light to separate the groom. The second photo, this one, I used my aperture, my settings in my aperture. Wasn't that question, Ken, about how to use aperture for creative portraits or whatever? Yes. Here's an example. This is not all that creative. Pre-visualization, too. Yeah, that was right. This is not all crazy, but in this photo, I decided to use my aperture to separate the groom from the group. So everyone's out of focus except for the groom. Here's another portrait when you have a large wedding party. This one, I used contrast to separate the groom from the wedding party. So in this case, he's sitting and everyone else is standing. So that's how you can create that contrast. If you want to have everyone stand, make the groom the brightest or make the groom the brightest. Yeah, I already said make the groom the brightest, make the groom the biggest. Like you can change your angle. But instead of just taking photos of groomsmen randomly, just quickly go through your head and ask yourself, how can I separate the groom from the rest of the groomsmen? You could have him wearing his tuxedo jacket and the rest are wearing their shirts, like their nice shirts. That's creating a contrast. You can have the groom to be the brightest. You can have him to be the biggest. You can have him sitting and the rest are standing. These are all going to be cool ways to showcase the groom. Okay, which technique did I use here? I used 2 techniques. The first one, I used the groom is the brightest. And the second technique, I used aperture. This was shot like a, 2.0. So I focused right on the groom, and the rest of the guys kind of go out of focus. And I also have the groom the brightest. That was a very difficult wedding party to deal with, by the way. They were not cooperating. They were not cooperating. The only way you can get them to smile was by giving them the attention that they wanted. They're kind of jerky. They kind of just want attention. So you give them the attention, and then I say, okay, guys, if you give me 5 seconds, I'll get out of your hair and stuff like that. And then they're like, oh, you're going to, and you start, yeah, I'll get out of your hair. You just start giving them what they want, and they're like, okay, give me all the power you possibly have. The more power you give me, the faster I can get out of here. And then they're all laughing. So because they want me out of there, everyone gives me their 100%. You kind of play with that, right? So look at their smiles. They're like, oh yeah, if I give him a big smile, he'll get the heck out of here pronto. So they're like, yeah, oh, take a picture. And then you're like, thank you so much, see you later. But if you're going to take 2 photos or 3, you better tell them, I just need to take 3 quick photos. Give me all you got for those 3 photos. We'll do the first one right now. Bam, 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 bam. Cool, let's do another setup. 2, boom, take a picture. 3, take a picture. That's why pre-visualizing is so important. And remember, it's not that hard. All you have to remember is, for every set of bridal party photos you take, how are you separating the bride or the groom from the rest of the wedding party? If you can do contrasts, you can do them wearing jacket, them not wearing jackets, you wearing the groom wearing the jacket. You can make the groom the brightest. You can make one sitting, the rest standing. Okay? For bride getting ready, by the way, that photo that's in there is the cover of my book, right? That photo almost never happened because the bride refused to take that picture. Not refused, she just didn't want to take it. So I told her, what you're seeing right there is actually not the veil. What you're seeing is the bottom of her dress. So we actually had to hold the dress over her head. And I told her nobody would touch her hair, nothing will touch her hair. And she said, give me 5 seconds. If I don't take it in 5 seconds, then we can take it out. And so I had 2 of my assistants opening up the dress right by the hand so it wouldn't touch her hair that was just nicely made. That's what she was posing for. So if you guys are out there and you had a question about what if the bride doesn't want to do something that you think will look great, that's a great question. It's probably best to respect their wishes, but it's also best for you to show your excitement towards the photo, because the bride may not know or may not be able to visualize what you're doing. But if you're doing something where it could really risk tearing the dress or something could happen, it's probably best to just let it go. And maybe you can try it after the ceremony when she won't care no more. I was about to say something, but okay, but at the beginning, she cares about her dress. After the dress, she won't care so much. Okay, after the ceremony, not after the dress. Okay, some things to look out for. I spent an hour with the groom. So from 12 to 1 is the groom. From 1 to 2:30 is the bride. As soon as I show up, all the bridesmaids should be fully ready. The bride can be wearing her cute white dress I told her to wear at the client meeting. This is important. If you're taking photojournalistic photos, the solution to the problem of them wearing last night's shirt with a tomato stain from the spaghetti that they had last night is best to just tell them, wear a nice clean white dress or like a robe or something that's silky. That way you can photograph moments like that. Okay? Okay, I already said windows should be facing the sun if possible. And last but not least, the mother of the bride and the father of the bride should be in the room completely ready and ready to go. Okay? It's good to have the parents involved. So try hard to get the parents in the room getting ready. If you're photographing, you can say, hey, it would be really great to have your parents in the getting ready room. So here's some photos of the bride getting ready. See how she's wearing a cute white robe? That's because she's listening to the suggestions, right? And this is actually a photojournalistic picture. She is looking at herself. I just took the photo. I didn't compose this. We already went over this the first day a little bit, but this is the bride pulling out her dress. This is her bridesmaids getting involved. This is her mom now getting involved. So you see all these photos have to go in the book, all of them. There's the bride with a sneaky mirror reflection. There's the bride with her bridesmaids. There's the group. You see? So there's the bride giving out her presents and so forth, and she's nice and bright. And look at the pictures of the father with the bride. These are emotional. They're beautiful. They will be great. They'll sell album upgrades. So that's really quite nice. Look at that. I mean, if I was a bride, I would probably want that. So it's worth having the parents there. This was a Russian wedding. They're not into close-up, kissy-kissy. That was complicated. You know, yesterday I talked about the importance of being super specific. And a lot of problems people were posting online were, what happens if you're dealing with a difficult wedding party? What happens if the groom doesn't want to be photographed? What happens if the bride doesn't want to participate? You can solve a lot of these issues by being specific when you're posing. So I told the mother to just put her forehead on the upper cheekbone. Look, you don't have to participate. Just put your forehead on the upper cheekbone. And she's like, what? Just go like this, on the upper cheekbone. And then I told the bride to look at the carpet design. There was a little design in the carpet. Just stare at the design. And if you don't want to do this for too long, just give me a nice tender smile when I say 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, ah, ha, ha, take a picture, done. Okay? Now, if this happens naturally, where the mother gives her daughter a nice tender moment, then by all means. But if it doesn't happen, maybe they just need a little push. They still love the photo, but they need a little push. This is the father seeing the daughter for the first time. And I just love the expression of the father. Look at excitement on the daughter's face. So that's another set of photos. The bride with the mom, the father seeing the daughter for the first time. You kind of have to set this up. So ask, where is the father of the bride? Oh, he's in the lobby with the groomsmen. No, let's bring him up. And then the first time the bride sees her father, it's always an emotional moment. It's like the first time that she sees her husband. So it's good to capture that. Here's her mom with the dad. And then, of course, you have all the getting ready photos here, which I'll probably skip now, because this is the emotional stuff we discussed already. All of these wedding party photos and all of these flat pictures with her mother, these are all during the getting ready section. This is why you put an hour and a half for it. If the bride say, I want to do some boudoir shots or something, then you better add another 30 to 45 minutes. So you have to be there 6 hours before. Okay? I want to do that right now. Okay, before I push play on this one, I want to go ahead and show an album of how this is an album that I would show to a client. Take a look at the photos of the bride and the mom. Take a look at the photos of the dad. Take a look at what the bride is wearing. Take a look how the details were photographed with photojournalism in the background. Now that you've gone to 2.5 days, you look at this slideshow with a whole new light. Okay? Then you'll see why this album captures emotion, photojournalism, details, portraits, and everything. This is just the slideshow. Do we have sound rolling out? Give me a quick sec, guys. We're going to, oh, Nico, all right. I'm going to do a quick...
Yeah.
Okay.
We won't take a question, but we'll take a fall.
Nico. Like, pick yourself. So we're just going to set up the audio, guys.
Done? Thank you, Nico.
Thanks, Nico.
Oh, the sound is showing online. Well, I'll go ahead and talk through this. Look at the parents. Remember the awkward moments and all of that stuff? There's the solution to that. Some of these photos were taken by the photographer that was helping me on as a second shooter. So. Second? I see. Okay. See, there's the detail with the photojournalism in the background and so forth. Okay, they can't hear me, right? Yeah. I left it at home. I broke a nail, so I couldn't play. I can? Yeah. These are the portraits of the bride getting ready. All of these are portraits of the bride getting ready. You can see how some are 3/4, some are close-up, some are full body, and everything, right? There's the bridesmaids photos, there's the father of the mom. You can see that it's all very tender. Look at the expression of the groom. Look how look at the father, he's about to bust right there. He's about over. Then look at the groom, he's ready to bust, crying, right? Look at the father there, look at that one. When you show these kind of photos, the brides really connect with that because you feel like you're photographing everything. Remember, some of these photos were taken by the second photographer. It doesn't matter. You have to have, that's your team, right? Now, this is not photos taken always from the back of the aisle. Some of them are from a 45-degree angle. There's the kiss right there. Look at that, quickly capture that. I turn on my flash for these pictures very quickly. Quickly flash, and when you do that, you have to bring the shutter speed down to a sync speed, or you have to put high speed sync. Check out the groomsmen party photos. Groomsmen with the bride. brides with the groom, you realize all of these photos are just gonna sell more and more album layouts, okay? So just think, traditional photo, fun photo of the bride, fun photo of the groom with the bride, keep adding combinations and permutations. Full body, you can almost full body, you can see the dress. There's the big window, remember that? Over that area. There's an abstract photograph. There's a romantic, beautiful one. See how those trees get contracted because of the 7200? So if you see a wall of trees or a wall of anything, you can just lower your angle and contract the scene, and it will look like a wallpaper in the background. So that's really cool. Okay, in these reception shots, you notice how the action is happening behind them. So that when I'm photographing, I position myself so the guests are in the background of what I'm photographing, instead of photographing where the wall is in the background. This is the reception lighting we're going to talk about in a little bit right now. It's about creating that nightclub look, okay? With the... There you go. So...
Roberto, I have a question.
Yeah.
So can you kind of talk about, like, during the ceremony where you're sitting at, and do you sit down at, like, what's your movement like?
Yeah.
What's your strategy, like your plan?
Mm-hmm.
Do you even sit down or?
Yeah. So these are questions you should ask the bride if you're gonna give the mother a gift in the middle of the ceremony. You need to write certain things down. For example, in a more traditional ceremony, the bride gives the mom a gift, and then right? You've seen that happen, right? Like they give them flowers, or they give them something, like a thank you note or something. You should have this written down, because you need to have a plan of action. When you are in the aisle, if you know that that's happening, you can run quickly and get intimate with the moment, right? Because you got to get the expressions. I don't know if you noticed in one of the photos, and I'll show it to you in a second, where the daughter is giving the mother the gift, and the father's on the left, like wiping tears out of his eyes and stuff. So it's back what I said on the first day. You have to kind of think, where should I be? Where is the action going to happen? Instead of where I am standing now. So if I'm at the ceremony, I'm standing here, I ask myself, what's going to be happening, and where should I be to capture that? If you have a second shooter, which you should always have, you should have them, when the bride and groom are about to kiss, that's the only time where I put my second shooter right behind me, and I have them shoot above me. In case my camera happens to fail at those crucial moments, like I could do a great job at the wedding, and if I miss the first time the bride and the groom's kiss at the ceremony, I am done, Another important moment is when the father gives the daughter away, and we get multiple angles for that. But I get a single angle from the kiss. I want to get the angle for the kiss. And I know that they're going to be turning towards me anyway, so I'm going to get the side of their face anyway. So it's not like they're kissing and I get the back of their heads. Okay, so... yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay, one thing is also, once you get to the front and you're photographing these intimate moments, then you can back up and have your second shooter shoot from a 45-degree angle and shoot it close up. Mm-hmm. I find if you're shooting inside, that prime lenses really just shine at ceremonies. So I do shoot with my 85. I even shoot portraits, or I even shoot some ceremonies with this lens. With this one. This is my macro lens. I mean, it's a macro lens. But when you take a picture with someone with a macro lens, it seems like if they're crying or anything, this will make it show even better. Okay? Not to mention, this new macro lens by Nikon has a dual stabilizer. Has a vertical stabilizer as well as horizontal stabilizer. So, it's pretty good.
That's the 100?
Yeah, 100 macro L series. By the way, a lot of my portraits of my brides and all of that, including the cover of my book, were taken with a macro lens, which is probably very strange. for a lot of people. If you go to, if you have a friend, photograph your friend, put a piece of tape, photograph your friend from the same distance with the 85 and the same background, see what's happening in the face. Then get closer, photograph your friend with a 35 millimeter lens and see what happens then. And then put their head in every corner of the frame, the top left, the top right, the bottom left, and the bottom right, and see how the head gets distorted and so forth. Then put on the 100 millimeter macro and do the same thing. And then put the head on the left, top right, bottom left. I've done this a million times. Then do it with the 70-200. And print them all out and kind of see what's happening in each lens, and you'll see why. Sometimes the macro lens is underused. It's intimate. It gets you right in there, you know. This is just 100 millimeter. For some reason, the way this macro is designed, when you are photographing someone and you get them in the eye, it's sharper than heck, and it just seems like more, you're right there. But it's easy to make a mistake with this one. It's easy to go out of focus, so you have to be careful.
Hey, Roberto, that's such a great exercise.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's cool.
When you're doing that, would you use kind of the same settings for all the different lenses? And
Yeah.
would that be the direct comparison, or how would you go about that?
Because it's like a science experiment. So you have
Right.
all the variables are fixed,
Right.
except for one. So the lighting is fixed, the background is fixed, which is why I have this, because I wanted to kind of go over some basics, right? I think if people at home, when they're practicing their flash, and when they're practicing lenses or whatever, having a little seamless paper like this can neutralize a lot of the variables and just focus on one change. I want to change my lenses. I want to change my one light. I just want to make one light change. What happens to the one light change? But if you have a background that's normal like this, you may not be able to see the light change right away. So this stuff really helps out. All right. Any other questions? Can I get to? I can get to flash now. Okay. Shall we?
I have a question. What are you doing for the other 2.5 hours before the ceremony?
Okay. Oh, microphone. Do you have a microphone? Oh, okay.
I think it works.
Oh, that's fine. So if the ceremony is at 5, I show up with the groom at 12. From 12 to 1, I photograph the groom. From 1 to 1:30, I photograph the bride. From 1:30 to 2, I photograph the bride and the groom seeing each other for the first time. And that includes scouting for the location for that to happen. Okay? From 2 to 4:30 or 2 to 4, I photograph the bride and groom portraits. If they are not going to see each other, then I go and I photograph the reception setup and all of that. I mean the ceremony setup. Then I photograph any kind of cute moments that the bride is having with her bridesmaids before she waits to go down the aisle. If they are going to see each other before the wedding, that's a great time to photograph the bride and groom portraits and take care of all of that. After that, I photograph the family pictures immediately after the ceremony, and I even tell the bride that when she gets congratulated and all that, that's fantastic. Let's do it for 5 minutes, 10 max, but then we have to come back before it gets out of control. And then we do family photos very quickly, very beautiful, and I'll explain how I do that too. Using flash. I always use flash for family portraits. After that, we go straight to cocktail hour, and my second shooter's photographing cocktail hour details and cocktail hour people having a good time. People spend quite a bit of money in the cocktail hour, and if you don't photograph it, you are gonna have angry people, okay? And then you go straight to the reception. For the reception, I set up 2 lights in the same side, one light here, one light here. I do not cross them, and that's on purpose. That's because I want to be able to change the light by the angle that I'm standing at, not by where the light is, okay? Does that answer your question? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Roberto?
Whoa. Yes.
I didn't see in your slideshow pictures of like the bride's shoes, or I did see a ring shot, but
I can show you probably the whole slideshow privately.
Oh, that's all right. But I just wanted to make sure you are doing those shots as well.
The shoes and stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. I would be fired if I didn't have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I didn't have, I photographed details like crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. But the details of the reception are the ones that are going to make you money, because the wedding coordinators, that's all they care about. And you better do a darn good job at those details. Do something beautiful, okay? It has to look seriously nice. So that's when we have to go from wedding photographers to be like commercial photographers almost, all right?
Roberto,
Yeah.
can we just go to the phones for 1
Yes,
second?
and then I'll pull out my flash while we do that.
Okay, quite a few people, including Marla, Faith, Blue, and Lou, had questions about the 5 hours ahead of time that we had talked about earlier. Blue says, 5 hours ahead seems rather excessive to me.
Yes.
What is the least amount of time one should allot for? And then Lou had asked, what does the groom do for 5 hours in his tux?
They drink.
They do drink, don't they?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah. It's not that excessive. It's actually, you can see the timeline it was pretty tight already, even then. If they don't want to see each other before the wedding, you can meet them 3 hours prior to the ceremony. But if they want to see each other before the wedding, you need the extra time. So, also don't forget, it depends on your style of shooting. If I show you one of my wedding albums, you're gonna be like, "This is insane. It's like a monster, right? How do you photograph all this?" Well, the bride wants it. She hired me for a reason. If you want this is the timeline that I need in order to give this to you. If you don't care, if this is not something you need, then we can do a smaller. I can photograph you for 30 minutes. That only gives me 2 or 3 photos of you, and that's the options I have. You know, the more time you give me, the more options you'll have. So. Okay. Anything else, Susan, or can I go ahead and start?
You can go ahead and start.
The flash stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is not a flash course. We can do another one of those later. But I do want to discuss some quick basics of this guy. I only want to go over the stuff that has helped me tremendously without complicating my life too much. Okay? I realize a lot of you guys watching online, you have different levels of skill with Flash. Some of us may be pretty familiar. So if you're familiar with some of the terms I'm going to say, it will be a review. And if you're not familiar with these terms, then good for you, and you can learn this. I'm going to concentrate on how I use the Flash for my style of photography. Okay, Leon, ready, man? Let's go through the basics of Flash first. First is this Flash is a very smart computer. It can do a lot for you, or it can be left alone, and you can make all the decisions. You can control everything about it. Now, what can this thing do for you? It can shoot a beam of light. That's what it does. It coming out of a very small head. So no matter what you photograph with this, it's going to have harsh shadows, because we know the basics of light. Small light source, harsh shadows. Okay? Just like photography, with the Flash, you can do anything you want as long as you can create a solution. I have my diffuser with me all the time, and I will today with Bethany, is it? I will photograph her with this directly, and then we'll photograph her with this, with a diffuser. With a diffuser, wow. With a diffuser, okay? Are you guys familiar with TTL and what that means? Most of you on the internet are very familiar with this technology. TTL just means through the lens. What happens is you take a picture, the flash sends a pre-flash, hits you in the face, then that pre-flash comes back, hits the camera in the lens, then the camera tells the flash, to get a good exposure, you need this much power, and then the flash says, thank you very much for the information, I'm going to now fire according to what you told me. And then it gives you a good exposure. With that being said, this is where TTL gets very tricky, and this is where things get different. What happens if you point your camera to something bright?
The flashing, I think, doesn't need a lot of...
Doesn't need anything.
Yeah.
Okay? This is why, as great as the technology is, you still have to be able to know what it's doing so you can override it. Okay? Second thing, what happens if you point this flash, you point your camera, and there's a mirror in front of the camera? It will be non-existent. You will have no flash. Okay? I have a nightmare story I would like to share with you all. I was asked to photograph the Pope of another religion, it was the Armenian Pope or something. And he came in the limos and the whole thing, and I had to take his portrait. I totally screwed that up. I fixed it, but I screwed it up because the Pope didn't want to move because he's like the Pope. So he chooses where he wants to be photographed. And I was just like, dude, you need to move. But I couldn't call him dude. That would be really disrespectful. So I said, is that where you want to sit? I mean, is that where you want to stand? He just looked at me like, why are we talking? You know what I'm saying? I was like, it was really harsh. It was tough, Susan, it was tough. He was wearing the whole ensemble. I was just like, man, you got it going on.
That's what you said to him, Roberto?
No.
You got it going on.
No.
Dude, you got it going on.
Yeah, you got it going on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So he sat in front of a mirror. I was nervous. I saw the mirror. It didn't register in my head. So there I am, looking super cool. He gave me about 5 seconds to take his portrait. So I sit there and I'm like with my camera. There's no time for fancy off-camera flash. So I sit there. I take my picture at a 45-degree angle to minimize the flatness of the flash. I pulled out the white card, which is something I do a lot. 70-80% of the light hits the roof, but just a little bit hits you. So that little white card bounces a little bit of sparkle to give you that catch light in your eye. And it was a dark room. So I was actually using the flash to give me the actual exposure, to actually light up the Pope. And the mirror was there. I took my picture, and there was and I didn't see the back of the camera because I thought I knew what I'm doing, so I didn't have to worry about it. So I never saw the back of the camera until the very last picture. I then scrolled back quickly. The Pope is already getting up, and all of them are pitch dark. Not a single detail comes out, and I almost had a heart attack, you know? I was like, oh my gosh, my flash is not working. I turned it off, I turned it on. I turned it off, I turned it on. I turned off my camera. Nothing was working. Until I turned the camera away from the mirror, and it took a perfect exposure. I was like, oh my God, it was the mirror. You know what I mean? So then I had to turn around, put this sucker on quickly on manual flash, so it wouldn't meter. And I took the picture and I saved it. Okay? I saved it. Which takes me to the next thing I want to talk to you about the flash. When you go to manual, choose one manual setting you're very familiar with. Let's say you're familiar with 1/4. Okay? So if you go to manual, you have 1:1, which is full power. You have 1:2. You have 1:4. You have 1:8. You have 1:16. You have 132, 164, and I think 1:128. Choose one power, like 1/4, and memorize it. Memorize that output for that distance. So if I'm photographing Christelle, I'm right here, and I'm like, okay, I am about 10 feet away from you. What power do I need to photograph someone at this distance? Just have one anchor point. Because if you're in a situation where you're in a hurry and you have to switch it to manual, you can gauge what's the distance between you and your subject, and you have an anchor point. Let's say I have to photograph Christelle, but I'm photographing Christelle from here. Now, what's the output going to be? Twice as much, right? Or more like 4 times as much because of the inverse square law. Remember all that stuff? Remember the inverse square law says that if you're standing 1 foot away, you get the full glory of the light. But if you stand 2 feet away, you're now doubling the distance. So now you actually are getting hit by only 1/4 of the light because it's an inverse, it's 1/4. And if you're standing 3 feet away from me, now it's 3 squares, so it's 1/9. So now you're getting 1/9 of the light. Okay? So any questions? That's not complicated, right? Pretty easy. Okay. So memorize how much of the flash, what power do you need for a normal distance, okay? And have that as an anchor point. The next one is zooming the flash head. Why do you want to zoom the flash head? Because you want to narrow the beam and therefore increase the power of the light. You can increase the power by actually telling this thing to stay on longer, right? Or you can zoom the head and it will actually give you a stronger beam of light, okay? You guys do know, I don't know, tell me if you're not familiar with this. Maybe some people on the internet are not familiar with this. But these flashes only have on or off for the light bulb. The light bulb does not go harder or lighter. It does not go stronger or lighter. When you put this at full power and the flash fires at full power, it is the same exact power as when you put this in the lowest setting. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. Okay. You thought that if you turned the power down, that the light bulb gave you weaker light. And if you turn the power in full blast, the light bulb gave you more power. But it doesn't. The light bulb doesn't change at all. The only thing that's changing is how long it stays on. Can I get a Sharpie or something, somebody please? A pen? If I can get a Sharpie or a pen, that would be awesome. A Sharpie would probably be better. Nico, you're the best, man. That guy's the man right there.
So you're talking about when we say full power, half power, 1/8 power, 1/4 power.
All of that stuff?
All that stuff.
Same exact power on the light bulb. Never changes.
You know what's amazing to me is that I've taken quite a few workshops here at CreativeLive.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Come on.
I swear.
Come on.
I swear. I did not know that.
I always thought of it as power. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not even a flash thing. I'm just showing you how I use the flash for my own weddings. This is not a flash course, although I would love to do that. I love shooting with flash. I'm a big flash guy. I just don't market myself that way. It's just a tool for me. Okay? Let me do this. Let me draw this real quick for you guys. I'm totally going to use this. It's just not a good idea, but.
Oh, wow. Do you want me to?
And I'll just say that I've heard the word duration many times, but it didn't sink in until you said it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, let me just do this real quick. I don't want to spend too much time.
Okay.
But this is the way it goes. When you put your flash at different powers, the flash actually shoots at 60,000th of a second or something crazy like that. The shutter speed of your camera can only go up to 8,000 shutter speed. But a single burst of these flashes can go up to 110,000th shutter speed. Like much faster than even the fastest shutter speed you can put in the camera. So if you put your camera at 8,000 shutter speed, the flash will actually beat that by a long shot. The flash will turn on and off. The flash will turn on and off, go home, take a shower, get dressed, take a nap, come back, and the shutter's still not closed yet. That's the way the flash works. The only thing that makes the flash more powerful or less powerful is by the duration of the flash during the shutter being open. So you're kidding me. Wow. So, okay, tell me if this makes any sense. You start the shutter here, the shutter opens, right? You go, the shutter's open. Here, the flash bursts when it's wide open. Then the shutter starts to close, and then it closes the shutter right there. You want more power, the flash is going to burst. It's going to go longer. It's going to stay on longer. So now the flash starts, boom, and now you're going to have this. Now you have two little bursts of light. So now it's on for a longer time. So the shutter starts, you go up, and then the flash fires, and then it turns off, and then it starts to, and the shutter closes. Because this stayed open twice as long, it's now twice as bright. But the power that it went off and on is exactly the same. Okay? When you want more power, you just keep adding little lines to this. How much power is that? Quite a bit, right? So now the flash starts, the shutter starts, then the shutter's halfway through, and the flash goes boom, 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 boom. And then the flash turns off, the job is done, then the shutter closes. So when you put that flash in one-to-one or full blast, all you're doing is adding little super fast bursts of the same exact power of light. Okay? So, does that help? Okay. There's actually a really important application for this knowledge. When you put something on high-speed sync, as soon as you put that sucker on high-speed sync, the flash cannot possibly stay on for that long. So the flash says, you want me to give you flash even though you're at 8,000 shutter speed? Fine. But I'm going to go lazy on you, and I'm just going to give you little bursts of light. In other words, as soon as you push that high-speed sync button, the flash is going to be half asleep. So you can shoot your 4,000 shutter speed, and that little high-speed sync is just going to give you minimal light. That's the only way the flash can keep up with something so fast. Okay? So what happens if you want to illuminate someone really well with flash, but you're on high-speed sync? And this is important if you're shooting couples and stuff. If you're shooting with high-speed sync, you need 2 or 3 flashes. Because when those 2 or 3 flashes come together, it equals like one flash when it's not in high-speed sync. Okay? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, metering exposure distance. This is important. If you ever grab your flash and you bend this at a 90-degree angle, like that, you turn this sucker on. As soon as you put your hot shoe into the camera, that little line tells you that from 4 feet to 30 feet, this flash will expose properly your subject. From 4 feet to let's say from 4 feet to 15 feet. So if you happen to stand farther back, you are now going to be underexposed. And if you get closer than that, than the 4 feet, you are now going to be overexposed. What does that mean? It means that if you ever wanted to bounce the flash off a wall, if the camera tells me from 4 to 10 feet, I can give you perfect exposure from me to you, Sarah, right now, okay? But then I go like this, and now I bend the flash so it can hit the wall and hit you from that side. You have to multiply the distance between me and you times the distance between you and the wall. So you have 10 feet, 20, 30 feet, so you need 3 times more power to be able to light you up the same way, or 4 times. It goes back to the inverse square law of light. Now, you are not standing 7 feet from a light. Now you're standing 15 feet from that wall. So now my flash has to go from here, travel to there, hit that, and that becomes the new light source, and then that goes and bounces and hits you in the face. So this kind of information helps you realize how quickly can you make changes that are accurate without having to take a picture and then be like this. You're like, this is what happens a lot. You take a picture. Ooh, too bright. Dial down, dial down. Take a picture. Ooh, that was worse. Right? Ooh. Okay, hold on a second. Dude, I totally get it. You're hot and everything. I know. I think I got it now. Yeah. Just take a picture. Yeah, I didn't get it. So you just keep it rolling. And then you look like an idiot. You know what I mean? You just look like an idiot. So having a little basic knowledge of how your flash is behaving allows you to take more educated guesses on what you have to do, so you can get the picture dead on right away. Okay? Okay. Second curtain sync. This is a technique I use on receptions. I'm not going to talk about how awesome second curtain sync I'm going to talk about how I use second curtain sync at receptions. Okay? I don't really care for second curtain sync during wedding photos or bridal photos or groom's photos. I only care about second curtain sync when it's dark. So what happens is this. The shutter opens. Let me go back to my thing here. The shutter opens, and then right before the shutter's about to close, the flash then fires. Okay? What does that mean? I already told you that the flash bursts at a very high speed, right? So fast that the flash itself can freeze the motion even if the shutter's slow. Let me repeat that, super important. If your shutter is slow, let's say you have a half a second shutter because you want to get movement. When that shutter opens, that shutter is actually moving across this line very slowly, right? And you're basically blurring everything that's happening while that shutter is opened. But as soon as that shutter's about to close, that burst of light goes, boom, you're frozen. Whatever was happened at the end froze. So when you're getting photos of people dancing, I can get a half second, 1 second, 30th of a second exposure, like a slow shutter speed, and you get the entire ambience of the location, but the people are perfectly exposed. Like they look beautiful, okay? So let me show you an example
Roberto?
here. Yes,
so
please.
Do you set your flash to flash on the second curtain then?
Oh,
If you're
yeah,
doing that way?
during the reception I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So during reception, 2 flashes, second curtain sync on both. Okay. During receptions, I enjoy slow shutter speeds. It's a preference. Because people, my clients, and a lot of people's clients, I'm sure a lot of you watching online, the clients spend a lot of money on the lighting of that location, right? And if you don't photograph it properly, you didn't give it justice. You didn't do it justice. The only way to photograph that properly is with a slow shutter, so you can get the ambient light to come into your sensor and be able to record it. But the only way to do photos of people and still get the ambience is second curtain sync. You have to wait till the shutter's open, you capture all that ambient light, shutter's about to close, the shutter finally is 1/100th of millionth of a second before it closes, and the flash fires, freezes that motion, and then your shutter's closed. And now you can go ahead and capture the ambient light, but keep the people dancing and having a great time totally in focus.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
It might be a silly question, but
No.
what is your shutter speed generally set at that point?
That's not a silly question. So it depends how much risk I want to take. Usually I'm at about 60th of a second. If I want more people moving and more ambience and stuff, I put it down to 1/30th of a second. And I don't have photos. I wish I could have shown my reception photos. I feel look really cool because no one's blurry except there's some movement, but the ambience is what I'm going for. The ambience is what I'm going after. But I don't want to make it so the people are blurry. Okay? Okay, let's see.
Roberto, can I interrupt and ask you a question, please?
Yes.
This is from Alan Birch from Missouri. He'd like to know, do brides ever inquire about whether you shoot natural light or artificial light? Have you ever had a bride do that, or is that something they never concern themselves with?
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
Not really. What they do ask is that they know what they like. Like when I show them the reception photos and they look full of excitement, yet they're lit beautiful, yet the whole ambience shows through, they know they love that. They're like, I love the way that looks, you know? So, you want to do some experiments with the flash? Bethany, are you here?
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Are the flashes set up on the corners of the dance floor, like on both sides of the dance floor, or is it on the side of the room? So like
No,
one
they're on the
corner,
same
one
side.
corner.
Left and right. They're not crossed over.
Yeah, but on the same side of the room, or just as close as the dance floor, like just on each side?
I don't understand.
If it's a big room, are they all the way in the corners, or are they at the corners of the dance floor?
No, they're by the dance floor.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have sandbags to make sure. Hello. Hi. What's up? Nice. Okay, let's do some quick experiments. So let me go ahead and lift this up real quick. I don't know if Julia's here. Is Julia here? Whoa, what the heck? Julia, can you please help me with that? I don't even. Remember, this is not a flash course. I just want to go over some basics so we can. Okay, I want to make sure that we understand this is not a flash course by any means. I'm just going through some flash basics for what I use and what I need. I think if you guys in the internet get comfortable using some of these flash settings, you'll benefit greatly without having to be an encyclopedia of knowledge of flash. You kind of need to just know some basics there. So,
Can we ask you a couple questions?
please.
Okay. Let's see. From LA Ram, if the flash is so fast, then why is there a sync speed limitation of 1/200th or 1/250th of a second in most cameras? Because you had talked about it being 1/220,000.
Yeah. The flash has to recycle itself in order to produce enough light output to be able to expose for someone reasonably. So in order to do that, the shutter speed has to be slow enough to be able to capture that person. if the shutter speed is over 200 or 250, the shutter piece has to opens and closes so fast that the shutter doesn't actually, oh man, long answer. I'll have to draw that out. But the way it works is like this. In normal flash photography, the flash opens, the shutter opens, and whatever, halfway through or something, the flash fires, and then the flash continues and closes, right? You know how there's first curtain and second curtain in the shutter? The first curtain opens. When it's opened all the way, the flash fires, and then the second curtain comes and closes. Does that make sense?
Time for another question?
No, I got to finish that one real quick. Okay. Oh my gosh, you're going to have a weird background when I photograph you. Okay? First curtain, second curtain in the shutter. Okay? This first curtain comes down, opens up the whole sensor, it reveals the sensor, and then when the sensor's all the way exposed, when the sensor's exposed, fully exposed, the flash fires, and that's what gives you the exposure. On high-speed sync, by the time, let me draw this again here. Okay, take a look at this picture for a quick second, okay? When the first curtain starts to come down and it finally reveals the sensor and then the flash fires, the whole flash is going to hit the sensor or hit you and it's going to be revealed in the sensor, right? It fires, right? In high-speed sync, because it's going so fast, like let's say 4,000ths of a second, as soon as the first curtain starts to come down, as soon as the first curtain starts to make its way down, the flash says, whoa, I better start shooting flashes now all the way through. So the flash starts coming down and it goes, boom, there's my first flash. Then the first curtain keeps coming down and then the flash fires again. Then it comes down again and then the flash fires again. Then it comes down again and the flash fires again. So it's firing like 15, 20, whatever, amount of times. Before the flash is coming down, it's going ta 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 ta. It's taking multiple photos of giving you bursts of light, so it can keep up with 2,000 shutter speed and so forth. Whereas in normal photography, it waits till the first curtain opens up all the way. When the sensor's exposed, it takes the full picture. Then the second curtain comes and closes. Okay? Let's try some exercises real quick that you can try. Okay, Bethany, how do you like your background? It's beautiful? All right. I'm going to put my camera at ISO 200. I'm just going to show you what happens when you put your camera on a shutter speed that's faster than 200 and you don't put it on high-speed sync. Okay? It's going to give you that weird curtain going on. So, sorry, I'm not going to go for beauty right now. I'm just teaching a concept, okay? With beautiful drawings in the background.
Hey, Roberto.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the first problem. Solution, remove the lens cap. 101 solutions to common photography problems. 102. Remove the lens cap. Okay. I'm going to put my camera at ISO 200. I'm going to put my camera at I'm going to go to high-speed sync here. I'm going to go to high-speed sync. This camera won't actually let you sync over unless you push the high-speed sync button. So I'm going to go to 6,000, and I'm going to have the camera take care of the entire exposure. Okay, this is telling me that from 1.7 feet to 7 feet, I'm going to achieve a proper exposure. So from 1.7 feet to 7 feet. So am I 1.7 feet to 7 feet here? Mm-hmm. So you can easily point the camera, take a picture, and she's exposed perfectly, even though I'm at 6,000 shutter speed. Okay? So if I was going to go to aperture f13, if I'm going to go to aperture f13 and at 8,000 shutter speed, now when you put this towards her, now the flash says, even if you tried, I'm not going to be able to expose. There's a little line, it's just telling you you're over the limit. Okay? So I'm going to take a picture here, and it's beautiful. Okay? It's just totally black. Okay? Oh. And you are not. You definitely. So
Roberto, just so you know, we have about 10 minutes till our scheduled break, but let us know what you want to do.
Okay. Why don't I jump into some important stuff with Bethany, just kind of doing some ratio stuff, and then we can take the break as soon as possible.
Sounds good. And FYI, we have a special shout out for the chat rooms, from the chat rooms.
Shout out.
Mr. Sal Sincata is watching.
Sal Sincata, my man. That's right.
It's so long since we've seen
What's
him.
up, Sal?
What's up, Sal?
Yeah. Ooh. Sal and Taylor, good people. Really good.
Sal wants to know about dragging the shutter, but we can talk about that later.
Mm-hmm. Okay. By the way, when people ask me, and they did ask me, what's first curtain sync? First curtain sync is just regular. The flash fires at the beginning, and then the shutter closes. It's just the way regular flash photography works. Second curtain sync is when the flash fires, the shutter opens, and then the flash fires at the very end of the exposure. So people think there's three: normal, first curtain, and second curtain, and there's not. There's only regular and second curtain. That's it. All right, let's do this quickly. This is put on backwards. Let's see here. Bam. Guys, can you see her face nice and clear? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Oh, you cannot change the angle on this? Or can you? Okay. Okay. How familiar are you guys with typical wireless flash settings? Not much. You know that there's channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. The only reason why those channels exist is so you don't interfere with a signal from another source. So you can choose, if you're in radio transmission, you can choose up to 15 channels. But if you're in optical transmission, you can only choose like 4 in most flashes. That's the case with this one. So there's also, you know what, I'm not even going to get into that. That's not part of the course. That's another class altogether. At receptions, this is basically my setup, and it's very quick and it's very simple. I put both flashes on channel 1. Okay? I also put both flashes. I put this one on group A, and I put that one in group B. Okay? So I'm going to grab this flash, and I'm going to put radio transmission. I'm going to turn it into slave. By the way, for those of you who are not familiar with masters and slave, it's not what you would think. You know? Oh my God. Master is the flash that sends the signal. Slaves are the ones that receive the signal. Okay, so that's all it is. So I'm going to put this in slave A, and I'm going to be on channel 1, group A. So channel 1, group A. Beautiful, and that's that. This one is going to be B. Okay, radio transmission, and it's going to be Okay, I'm going to put this into slave. And I'm going to put this in group B. Okay, all I'm doing is this. By having that being group A and by having that group B, I can actually change the power of each one, and I can manipulate how the lights hit the reception. Okay? If you are super cool, you can grab 3 flashes and put them all here and put them all as group B. And if you're super awesome cool, you can put 10 flashes here and make them all group A, and they will all fire together. So it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? There's a limit, but it doesn't matter. For my case, I only need really 1 or 2 flashes. If the reception room is really big, I might do a double flash setup. So I have a little thing that you can put 3 flashes on top of it, and you can flash all 3 at the same time. But right now, this is A, this is B. If I'm doing the first dance photos, I zoom the head of the flash manually. If I'm doing dancing photos, I zoom the head out. So if it's bride and groom dancing for the first time, I zoom the head. So I'm going to take a picture here without zooming the head. Let me see, stand right here. I'm going to put this right there. I'm going to put this right here. So what I'm teaching here is simple flash setup for receptions, okay? And yes, it is a wireless setup. It's not that complicated. You have both cameras are on channel 1. And this one, both flashes are on channel 1. This is in group A, this is in group B. Now, using my camera, I don't know if actually the people online can see this. Can they see this? I don't know. Don't worry about it. So in my menu, I go to my external speedlight control. So I can actually grab my camera settings and change everything about that flash and everything about this flash just using my camera. So once the flashes are set up, I don't have to sit there and walk all the way over there and bring the light down and then make the changes, okay? You can change everything. Yeah. By the way, for those of you wondering, I'm using the 5D Mark III, and I'm using the 600 EX RT flash. RT means radio transmission flash. Okay? So I'm going to go to flash function settings. I'm going to click on that. And then I want to go to ETTL. Then I want to go to group. External speedlight control, flash function settings. Okay, I'm gonna hit the group setting right there, and then I'm gonna go to I have A, B, C, D, and E. You see that? So I'm gonna go to A, and then you have choices. You want A to be manual, or you want A to be TTL. If you want A to be TTL, it's gonna use the flashes. It's gonna use the flashes light meter to kind of give it the best shot it can. Or you can make this flash be manual. I'm going to leave it on TTL right now. Okay? So group A will be TTL. Beautiful. Group B is going to be TTL, but I'm going to increase the power of that one or make it flash longer, right? So I'm going to go to +3. So that's going to go crazy. This one's going to be normal, okay? Freak out! Wow. Oh, I'm at 8,000 shutter speed. I should have probably not done that. Freak out! Just take a look at the photo if you can see that on the internet. You have perfect exposure on the left because it was at 0. It gave me the right light meter. But the photo number 0045, but look what happened on the right side of her. It's just totally bright. Okay? So it's pretty cool when people are dancing to have some people kind of brighter than others, and then you can quickly change it and make these people brighter than those people by just switching the power of A and B. A and B, that's all you have to do. Is that complicated or is that somewhat reasonable?
That kind of answers your question.
It's just over my head.
Tell me if it's a little bit complicated.
It's
Is it?
complicated, yeah.
Okay, let me make this super simple. Ready? Super simple. Because